All right, here we are again, another Tuesday night. I'm Matt,
And I'm Jackie, and this is Nate.
and that's Nate. And this is Couple Chat. So today we are going to keep up with our same theme. Our first week we went over top 10 quarantine movies. Second week we did top 10 quarantine video games. So this time around we are doing what I'm sure everyone has been waiting for that cares about us talking, TV shows. Because, let's be honest, TV shows are going to take up an absorbent amount of time. And who doesn't have more time than all of us right now? Everybody.
Quarantine.
So anyway, since we're all still here, it's the middle of April. Let's talk about some TV shows. I'll say with my list, I put some shows on there that I've always wanted to watch that I haven't yet. I put some shows that are on my recent to watch list. I'm definitely going to watch it soon. And then I have shows on there that I'm actually currently watching that came back with a new season during quarantine or around the time of quarantine, just so that you guys have actual content that you can watch like right now, all easily accessible. I didn't want to put anything on my list that was hard to find or you had to, buy it or anything like that. If you have streaming services, all the main players, you're going to be able to watch anything that's on my list at least. So,
yeah.
And what about you?
My list is not necessarily stuff that's aired like recently, but it is things that have a complete rounded story at this time. A lot of them are on streaming services that I do use. But
Hi, Marcy.
Hi, Marcy.
Hope you're doing well in quarantine.
Fun. But yeah, a lot of my shows are available on streaming services, and if they're not, I'm sure you've seen them in the past because they were popular back when they did air. So for those of you who watched normal TV, some of my shows you might have just seen live and in charge.
Cool. So, as per tradition, ladies first.
Ladies first. So, my number 10 is actually a really far throwback. Me and my mom used to watch it every Thursday night when it came on, and it just became a tradition for us and something that we shared, which was really cool. I don't know if you can stream this. This is the one show that I did not find anywhere streaming wise. ER.
I used to watch that with my mom too.
Yeah, ER was like the Grey's Anatomy of the 90s, and it was amazing. And just even though some of the stories were a little silly at times, or some of the things seemed a little bit far-fetched, it was still raw and real. And I don't know, I still cry when I think about Dr. Green and everything that happens to him. And
yeah, really great storyline. Honestly, probably one of the best on TV. That whole Dr. Green storyline. But after, it's funny because after he passes in the show,
it kind of falls flat.
Yeah, it really does.
But I stuck with it because that's what I do.
I mean, I did too because my mom and my stepdad watched it. But then, like, after that surgeon gets his arm chopped off by the helicopter, that's when I was like, oh, all right, you guys enjoy the rest of this. But I did come back for the series finale because
you have to.
Because Dr. Green's daughter came in and she was training to she was like a resident at the hospital, which was interesting. They kind of tried to bring her out full circle.
Yeah.
But in the end, I mean, overall, it's a pretty good show. I'm with you.
It's a great story, and like I said, it's our generation's Grey's Anatomy. Like there were tons of seasons,
which I can't stand.
We won't watch it. We won't watch Grey's Anatomy, but like for us, ER was that for us.
Yeah. It
was something binge-worthy, even though we only got to see it live.
And if you love following actors, ER is a great show to go back and watch. It's very similar to like Seinfeld, where you watch an episode and you're like, oh my god, I didn't realize they were on this show. Yeah. That's ER, or Law and Order, like ER was that show that just everybody wanted to be on, and every person that you could think of was an extra on that show, or a doctor. George Clooney. I mean, yeah, he got to start early on in 80s sitcoms, but ER is really where he was pushed to the stratosphere.
No, you're fine.
But anyway, so
that's my number 10, ER.
Cool. So my number 10 is a show that I've always wanted to watch. Heard it's phenomenal, one of the greatest shows of all time, if not the greatest show of all time. I put it as number 10 because I still haven't watched it, and shame on me for being a filmmaker and not seeing it. It's The Wire. If you have HBO, Go now, or any TV service, if you still do that kind of thing, you can definitely watch The Wire. But I don't have much to say about it because I really don't know that much about it. My understanding is you get two sides of the coin of crime and the law, and that's really all I know. I've stayed away from spoilers all these years, and I really don't want to know anything. I just want to go in pretty blank-minded with the show, so I still want to really watch it, and why not quarantine to start finally and finish, obviously.
Hi, Adriana.
Hey, Adriana. Long time no see.
Um,
Can't see you, but.
So my number 9 pick for TV shows is Marvel's Daredevil.
Nice.
It is a Netflix show. Back when Matt and I decided to do the ultimate binge of all things Marvel, I wasn't really sure about it. I was really skeptical because, everyone's seen the crappy Ben Affleck movie and Daredevil wasn't really something I was aware of until I saw this show, and it's just amazing. The acting, cinematography, the stunts. I mean, the stuff that these people can do is just phenomenal, and the story is very, very. It's dark, but it's uplifting at the same time. He has a scary past, and it's really sweet and lethargic at the same time because he does have a best friend who's his sidekick basically. But it did get canceled, unfortunately. We don't know what Disney's plan is, but they did take Daredevil away from Netflix, and we're hoping that it does resurface at some point, or hopefully they keep the cast and the crew because they're amazing. I mean, everything they put out was just...
Even if just the characters make an appearance somewhere throughout the cinematic universe, I mean, you can't just get rid of Kingpin, especially.
No.
And
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio is just fantastic in the role.
Yeah.
And the cool part about you putting that on there is we still haven't watched the 3rd season. So I would love to go and finish that off.
Yeah.
Even though it has been canceled, it was still really good and we enjoyed it.
Yeah, especially the first 2 seasons. I'm sure the 3rd is just as good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my number 9.
Cool. So my number 9 is also on HBO. It's Chernobyl. I've also heard the show is phenomenal, miniseries, and I've always been interested in that whole incident and everything that happened in Russia at that time. So I heard they did the whole thing justice. So I'm up for it. I really am excited to watch it. It's one of those things that fell out of my radar, and I just moved on with my life and kind of forgot about it. So thankfully, while making this list, I ran into it again, and I was like, yes, I must watch this. And it's pretty short, so more of a reason why I can just breeze through it and then move on to another thing, which, I have others on my list too. But yeah, Chernobyl.
Nice. My number 8 is Boy Meets World.
Nice, which we are actually watching right now.
We are currently watching.
Kind of on and off.
Well, sure. We have Disney Plus,
never we're bored.
And that's where it is streaming, just for everyone to be aware of. Right. It's nostalgia. I mean, really is. Dude, watching the show again is just amazing because I remember watching it when I was a kid and just wondering how, Corey would get out of his sticky situations with Feeny and like all this. And it's so funny because the morals that they teach and the things that they're supporting, like even like global warming they mention and all this stuff, and it's like I mentioned to Matt, racism. Yeah. But I mentioned to Matt there was one episode where there was a reusable bag, and I was just like,
yeah.
Can you believe that they've been using reusable bags this long? Like it's it's amazing because, you know, you don't think
It was just a funny little Easter egg to like
it was,
you wouldn't even think twice about it back then,
right.
but now because it's a show that was back in the 90s and today reusable bags are like so important
Yeah.
that you see that and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
But,
And like you said, the racist episode, like, you know, Corey doesn't realize that racism's still a thing and inequality is still a thing, and
right.
just it's really cool
It's
to see what they did to bring those things to light for
Right.
kids
Right.
our age back then, or even older, younger and older.
And I'll be completely honest, watching it as an adult, the show is really well written.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Like, yeah, there's a few moments that's like, all right, that's super cheesy, but ultimately the show is pretty well written, better than some other shows within the same genre. Like, like you know, we've watched like Full House episodes since, and I mean, they do not come up to par with how well written Boy Meets World is.
Yeah.
Like they were Boy Meets World is definitely ahead of its time.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are terribly written shows now that are comedies, but that show definitely.
But it taught a moral. Like the episodes had Corey go through an arc, and it was really cool to be able to see. And it continues on.
Yeah.
They carry over into future episodes so far. I mean, we're only halfway through season 1.
What's also really interesting to me that I don't know if you've caught on to this, but Corey isn't really the smartest kid in school, and he doesn't really care about school either.
No.
Which I think is so interesting that they would make him the main character of a TV series. Like, this is Disney 1, and now you have a show geared towards young boys, and Fred Savage is, you know, becoming this huge young actor at the time, and he's perceived as pretty dumb, and he's kind of a troublemaker in school. And yeah, I think it's like they created this arc for him, you know, which is crazy to think that they did that within a children's show like that. But you know, he goes from that person to becoming an upstanding adult, and you know, kind of taking after Mr. Feeney, and I think that's pretty cool too. And that in itself, the overarching story has a great moral to it. So.
Hi, Heather.
Hey, Heather. Hope you're doing well in your quarantine.
So yeah, Boy Meets World is my number 8.
Cool. So my number 8, I started watching it once a long time ago. The galaxy far, far away. But I stopped for some apparent reason. But it's Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Not the micro series. I did watch that a long time ago, and I feel like it's phenomenal. Still is. But this is the Clone Wars that was on Cartoon Network. I think it was on Cartoon Network, and then it was picked up by Netflix. And now, obviously, with Disney Plus coming out, you can watch the newest season on Disney Plus. But I think you still have to watch the whole series on Netflix. It's really confusing, but I'm pretty sure the whole series is on Netflix minus the new season. So in order to watch the whole thing, you have to watch it mostly on Netflix and then the new season on Disney Plus. But I did put that on there because, again, new season just came out, the season that's going to lead right into Revenge of the Sith, which that makes me super excited. That actually is the thing that's pushing me to finally watch it. So, but again, I hear the series is amazing. A lot of morals, because again, this is a kids show, a Star Wars-based kids show, and I hear it's just chock full of really great morals. So, I'm down to watch it. I think I watched the whole first season, and I thought it was okay, but I could tell it was getting better, finally getting into a groove. So I'll definitely continue watching it. Especially there's a lot of really great characters in it that have become mainstays throughout the whole Star Wars universe, like Ahsoka Tano. So I really kind of want to see her arc. So I'm gonna watch it finally, hopefully.
So my number 7 pick is something that Matt showed me. I think I might have seen it once or twice when we hadn't been dating. But I really grew to love it, and I think it's really funny and entertaining, but also very serious and sad at the same time. Hi, Brittany.
Hey, Brittany. Long time no see. This is like a Santander reunion.
Hope all is well. That's okay. Anyway, so my number 7 is Scrubs.
Oh, Scrubs, nice.
Speaking of medical shows, so
Yeah.
it's not just a medical show for me though. I think it's more so, following their lives and like seeing how they're going through so many trials and tribulations.
That's what happens with all
being
these
young
medical
adults.
shows.
Yeah, but being young adults in the world on your own and trying to make a way for yourself is cool, and I like how they get to show that. And like I said, it's a comedy, and there's moments where he breaks character or in the fourth wall, and those are really fun. And then there's really serious moments, and I really enjoy the writing in that show, and just it's a really well-rounded show.
Well, it's funny, the song that they used for the original series finale actually became a huge song for us that we wound up using in our wedding video and everything. It's the Book of Love. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Beautiful, beautiful song. If you get a chance to listen to it, but it's the Peter Gabriel version of the song. You have to listen to that one. But yeah, cool. It's funny because when you mentioned Scrubs, I actually thought when you said, "Oh, we introduced this," or we got into it together. I thought you were going to talk about Parenthood because we were bawling our eyes out during that show throughout the whole thing.
I didn't even think about Parenthood.
Yeah, haven't thought about Parenthood in a while, but
it's very good too.
Yeah, but anyway, that was your number 7, right?
Yeah.
So my number 7, another show that I haven't watched that everybody keeps telling me to watch, especially our friends Wesley and Rachel, is Mindhunter. You can watch this show on Netflix. It has 2 seasons now, I believe, and it talks about the unit of I believe the CIA that finally started to comprehend serial killers, and I mean, that's right up my alley. I'm always into that kind of stuff. I listen to a podcast that talks about different villains throughout history, whether they're factual or fictional. And Mindhunter just seems like a show that I would be really, really interested in. So I've always wanted to watch it, haven't gotten around to it, and here I am. Might as well. So
cool.
Yeah.
So my list was really, really hard because there's so much good TV on.
Oh yeah.
Or that we've seen. But you want? I mean, his bottle's not done.
Oh yeah, I see.
But my number 6 pick is a Netflix series which kind of surprised us, I think, because it's an animated show and it was unexpected. And I really, really enjoy the way that it makes you laugh at certain things because it's a cartoon, but it's really, really controversial stuff. But at the same time, they teach you, that it's wrong to laugh at those things, but those things are kind of brought to light in the show, which I really like.
Jackie likes to hold titles. Like, what are you talking about?
I do. I want people to be able to guess. So my number 6 pick is Bojack Horseman. It is a Netflix series, and it has Aaron Paul and Will Arnett. Yeah, Aaron Paul playing Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad.
Like a really downgraded or dubbed version.
Yeah, but it's really cool because the little Easter eggs too. Like, we watch it on a projector because we have a 100-inch projector instead of a regular TV, and we can see the little nuances. Like they make posters that have like little sayings that are kind of like a play on words and just labels on food and stuff like that, which is really fun and interesting. And they put so much detail into the show.
They definitely do. There's a lot to it, and then like the detail in just the storylines and the intricacy of the characters. Like, you're talking about a horse that speaks.
Yeah.
Animals
that speak. They all are, like, most of them are animals.
And it mostly takes place in Hollywood. It's the most ridiculous sounding concept, but I'll tell you, it's got a lot of heart to it, and also a lot of like serious content that it speaks to a lot of the things that we deal with in everyday life, and also that we've dealt with in different industries, and it really hits home for Hollywood and everything that's happened, especially in recent years. So I'm surprised, actually. I didn't even think to put that on my list, mainly because we watched it and finished it, and I don't know, it just escaped me.
Yeah, it just ended too, so if you get a chance, definitely binge that on Netflix if you haven't already.
So my number 6 is a show that I was drawn to because one of my favorite actors is the lead in it, Al Pacino. It's Hunters on Amazon Prime Video. And I don't know how the show is. Haven't really looked up reviews. I love Al Pacino, but in recent history, he hasn't really been in anything stellar. He's still a great actor. I just think he just doesn't choose the best roles.
The Irishman was good.
The Irishman was all right. He was fantastic.
He was great.
But like I said, he's great in everything. It's just he doesn't choose the best things to be in. But Irishman was great. But Hunters is about I think it takes place in the 70s, and these Jewish hunters are finding that Nazis still exist, and they're trying to find them in New York City in the 70s. So it's a pretty cool concept. I guess they're like an assassin's guild or creed in a way, and they're going to take them out. So I'm down for it.
Cool. So my number 5 pick is also a Netflix series. It's based in Canada, which is really cool. It's a husband and wife who wrote the show together, and they produced the show. It's called Working Moms, and it's a cool show for me because Matt hasn't actually seen any of it.
Might seem like anything I'd be interested in, but at the same time,
my friend Rachel suggested it to me. It's one of those shows that the stuff is too.
Hey, Ollie, this really is a Santander reunion. Like almost everybody from Santander has been on tonight.
That's great.
Hi.
But so Working Moms is definitely something for me. Like it's the grittiness of being a mom and trying to kind of figure this stuff out.
Grittiness of being a mom.
And just, I don't know, it's just really cool to kind of see that perspective.
The kid gets down in the mud and dirty.
No, the mom gets down in the mud. That's the grittiness. No. But it's just really cool. To make extra money. Because they're all different types of moms. They're all different types of situations, financial and maritally wise. And it's a really cool show, and I really enjoy it a lot. And, I thank Rachel for the suggestion, because if she didn't mention it to me, I mean, I watched through the whole series before he was even a thought or glimmer in his daddy's eye, or whatever that whole thing is. But I watched the series way before I even got pregnant, and it was just one of those things where I was like, I wonder if I can relate. And then now I can definitely relate. And they're coming out with a new season soon. I think it's actually supposed to release Mother's Day, if I'm not mistaken. It's supposed to be coming out the 4th season. But if you have a chance, I mean, guys are more than welcome, but I think it's a pretty cool women's show. Kind of shows how strong we are and how resilient we are, and no matter what, we always kind of make it through and support everyone else, even though we need the support sometimes. But no, I really, Working Moms, definitely give it a gander.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So my number 5 pick is something that I've literally been harassed about probably since the show started.
Well, you're a big fan of the movie it's like a parody of, so that's
Stop looking at my list, Jackie. Jackie doesn't even know my list, and she's looking.
All right.
Anyway, it's Rick and Morty. No, anybody who's watching this, who nobody is at the moment, but anybody who's gonna watch this, no, I have not watched Rick and Morty yet. I know I should. I know it's right up my alley and my type of comedy and a parody of Back to the Future. I know all this. I really do. My brother made the mistake of showing me the original short that it was based on, or that they used to pitch the idea, and it's just god awful and scarred me. If you want to watch it, it's like Doc and Marty It's on YouTube. You can watch it. It's very disturbing. Very disturbing. Not even close to what I heard Rick and Morty is like, but it just put a sour taste in my mouth, and I haven't been able to pick up Rick and Morty because, I don't know, it's a stupid thing that I have to get over. This show, however, this is the one show on here that I'm not sure of where you can watch. I think I've heard it's on Hulu. I personally don't have Hulu, don't really want Hulu. So I don't know how to watch Rick and Morty, and that's a big reason why I still haven't sat down and watched it. But yeah, that's my number 5. I'm going to do my due diligence and see if I could find a way to watch it, because I really want to. Anyway.
Cool. So my number 4 is a show that Matt also introduced me to. There's a lot of TV that we've shared over the years. Yeah. But this show is very, very serious and can be kind of violent, and is not suggested for children's
eyes.
Children's eyes. Most of my list, some of the things vary, but
Boy Meets World.
Yeah, there's a couple kids.
All right, things. What is it?
TheSopranos.
Ah, nice.
I really, really enjoy the writing. The acting is phenomenal. I mean, it's just one of those shows that, as a person, as a human being, you just need to see. Yeah. The morals are there. The it's real. It's raw. It's gritty. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. And I believe that he's dead at the end.
Which I think...
and if you haven't found out that spoiler, oops, spoiler alert.
No, and I don't even, not to open up this can of worms.
10 years.
10?
13.
2007 it ended.
It's been 13 years.
So, not to open up this can of worms, but, I personally think that hands down, he dies at the end. There's no way around that. If you were paying attention throughout the series, and especially the last season, you know that that's what happens. But, David Chase has said in interviews, he didn't want a grotesque, gory ending for this character. You've seen it enough. He wanted to go out on a different note. And if you were paying attention, you know what happens. He's never outright said that he died, but, that's what he says. And I think that, unfortunately, with the circumstances now of what happened with James Gandolfini, the series has a much sadder ending as well. If you watch that last episode and you see them together as a family, and when it does cut to black, even if you don't believe that that's what happens, that there's no possibility of them ever doing anything else now that he's gone. So, not to put a sour taste on this thing, but, I think it deserves a rewatch just for that reason. If you've never seen The Sopranos, definitely a good reason to watch it. Not a good reason, but puts a different spin on it.
Hi, Jimmy.
Jimmy!
Congratulations on the new baby. In the family. Brother. Yeah.
Congratulations. Jackie is making it sound like you're having a baby.
No. His brother his wife just happened.
Congratulations. You're an uncle.
Yeah, so that's my number.
No, yeah, you're number 4. Oh, right. So my number 4 is another show that a lot of people have been telling me to watch of recent years, and it's Ozark. No, I have not watched any episodes yet. A lot of people tell me that it's kind of like Breaking Bad. They kind of take a few cues from that, especially because Jason Bateman was a comedic actor, now playing a more serious role. So I guess because people have compared it to that, it's been hard for me to pick it up, because I'm like, well, nothing can be Breaking Bad. Nothing can beat Breaking Bad, in my opinion. That's, to me, the greatest show of all time right now. And again, I still haven't watched The Wire, going all the way back to my number 10. But I do want to give Ozark a chance, especially the newest season just came out. So again, you can watch this on Netflix. I wanted to pick shows that are easily accessible. So Ozark is accessible, and a new season just came out. So might be a fun thing to watch right now. And then I can get into the conversation immediately if we start watching it. So. Baby.
Sure.
Birth baby. Thank you.
Okay. So my number 3 pick is Breaking Bad.
What? Did I just mention that? See, Ozark and Breaking Bad were the same number on our list. More.
No.
Oh, is your number 3?
Yeah. Ladies first, remember.
Oh, right.
So Breaking Bad is pretty amazing. If you haven't watched it, then
It is?
you've been living under a rock, or it's just not your style. That's fine.
Breaking Bad's everyone's style.
Not necessarily. But it's a pretty amazing show. I love Vince Gilligan's description of it's Mr. Rogers turning into Starface.
Oh yeah.
It's just everything and more that you could expect from a description like that about a show. And I really, really love the writing. The acting is superb. They just every episode is amazing. We literally just watched through the whole series recently because we want to watch El Camino. And we watched El Camino, and it was totally worth it. And then we're now watching Better Call Saul, and it's just like, it's beautiful that Vince Gilligan can make this world and kind of keep it going and keep us interested and tie it all together. It's really beautiful and
it's
impressive.
It is a great thing to watch right now too. If you've never watched Better Call Saul and you've never watched El Camino, we have the time, watch Breaking Bad and then watch El Camino, because there was nothing like rewatching the whole series and then watching El Camino, because I'll be completely honest. I've only watched Breaking Bad through once before this rewatch, and if I didn't, I would have missed out on things in El Camino, because there are little nuances and little Easter eggs and even just conversations and dialogue that I don't think I would have picked up on every little thing. But since we watched the series again, we did. And then not only El Camino, but then you have Better Call Saul, which is another great reason to rewatch Breaking Bad, because the newest season of Better Call Saul is out right now.
Yeah. Cool. So that's my number 3.
Cool. So my number 3 is a show that is on right now. You can watch it on HBO, but it is Westworld. We really enjoyed the first season, and I'm sorry for those truists out there. I'm definitely the type of person that is, but I've never seen the 1978 film Westworld. I really want to. Very hard to find these days, but I really want to watch it. It is right up my alley. I've never gotten around to it. But anyway, you okay?
I don't want to fix my pants. I thought it would be better to do it hidden behind you.
So anyway, I've never watched the original film, but the series is phenomenal. The first season is really well done. We were so enveloped in it that throughout the whole season we were like coming up with theories and trying to uncover what was going on. And while I think we figured everything out before it came to fruition, it was so worth it, because once it happened, you're like, yeah, see? It was good. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. The second season I don't think is as great as the first. And the third season's on right now. Totally takes a different turn, different feel. And if you're a fan of Breaking Bad, Aaron Paul is in the third season.
It's so funny. I'm realizing now he's literally in 3 of the things you mentioned.
Yeah.
Bojack.
Oh yeah. He's getting around.
And
Breaking Bad.
Yeah, it's funny.
But yeah, so I recommend it. Recommend watching it. So it's a really good show and really makes you think too.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so.
Yeah, right there.
Many people may think I'm crazy for choosing this as my number 2.
Well, there's nobody here, so.
I'm just saying in general. Funny. That's not nice.
I'm kidding. Somebody will watch this later in the future.
But my number 2 is Game of Thrones.
Woo! Game of Thrones is amazing, regardless of the ending.
Well, it's great because we have this thing where if it's a long-running show, we try to binge the seasons beforehand so that we remember.
Yeah, even though we've watched the show previously.
Yeah, but
okay.
We didn't watch the series.
Okay.
For a while, and then we had done it right before the last part or the last season.
Yeah, we watched the series the year before, And okay, so we rewatched
We watched everything
for
after
our
we got
wedding.
married.
Yeah, for our wedding, we got married that July 2017. So we watched season 7, part 1
Right.
live, and then we were like, when we got back from our honeymoon, we were like, fuck it, let's rewatch the whole series. We rewatched the whole series.
Right.
And then we rewatched the whole series again right before we watched the last part. Yes.
Oh yes, yeah. It was literally
So we
back
watched
to
it
back
twice.
that we watched it twice. Yeah, within the year. But it's just the visual effects in that show for a TV show to have such a visual effects budget. I mean, it's crazy how much better it gets throughout the series.
Yeah.
But it's phenomenal what they did on that show, and it's a wonderful thing to see. You know, these actors being able to get work after the fact and being able to portray these characters. Where, you know, this is a great series. I mean, the books are really good. If George would finish, it would be even better. But, you know, D.B. Weiss and David Benioff really tried to do justice to his story in the short time that they wanted to finish it in. And, yeah, I wish there was more in the last season, but it is what it is. They chose to do it that way. It was a sudden switch, and I mean, for some people it was sudden. For other people, it was just dragged out. But I really enjoyed it, and I didn't mind the last season, including the cup of coffee on the table. But Game of Thrones is just, you know, it's really cool for us, especially because we got to watch it the night before we got married.
Yeah.
On a projector with our family.
Even though it didn't go completely as planned.
Technical difficulties. That's what we should call this. Technical difficulties. That's what we always have.
It's just the nature of technology.
But yeah, it's a really cool, really great series. So you should definitely watch Game of Thrones too. Yes, you want me to try?
Anybody see that?
No, you got.
Can you eat it? Why are you making a weird face?
He didn't like it before. I don't know why he stopped. Anyway, Matt's number 2 is.
Alright, here.
Yeah.
Alright, so my number 2 is hey Heather. Yes.
Hi Heather.
My number 2 is a show that that we both have watched the entire series, but then the final season just came out of nowhere. We didn't even really know it was happening. They kept it under the rug, really, you know, really secretive for some reason. But it's Mr. Robot. Really fantastic show. The first season blew me away. Wasn't sure what to expect. Has a lot of pays a lot of homage to Fight Club without giving anything away. But yeah, the first season was really, really well done, and then the ball just keeps rolling and getting crazier as the series progresses. And anyway, Sam Esmail, the creator of the show, you know, just like Vince Gilligan, he was like, look, this show has an ending. I know where it ends, and I don't want it to go on forever. So I think that kind of annoyed the execs at USA, so they let him release the last season, and we're just like, whatever. Because again, it was kind of very, very hush hush when it came out. I don't even know a lot of people that know it ended, but they released the last season, which is the 4th season. We still haven't watched it. I think it ended in like October or November, but I really, 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 really want to sit down and watch it. And I would love to rewatch the whole series beforehand because it's very in depth. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on, but I recommend it. If you haven't heard of it or you haven't watched it, please go watch it. Now, this is another one of those shows that's a little hard to find. You can watch seasons 1 through 3 on Amazon Prime, but the 4th season, there's really no easy way to get it. You might have to buy it, rent it, or I think you can go on USA's website if you still have a TV streaming service. But yeah, that's my number 2, Mr. Robot.
Cool. So my honorable mentions are kind of lumping them all together, like How I Met Your Mother, Seinfeld, Frasier, those kinds of rom-com sitcoms. Those are all honorable mention for me because they were all really fun shows when I was a kid.
For the first time ever in couple chat. Calla the Calla.
Look, we're all four together. Hi, everybody. She's afraid of the baby, so this is fun. She's kind of afraid. She's going to scratch you. Say hi.
All right, continue.
Anyway,
rom-com mentions.
So yeah, rom-com sitcoms. They're all honorable mentions. And then I was. So you had mentioned before a show that we had shared together, Parenthood. I was like, oh yeah, Parenthood. And then there's that other show that we shared together. Literally, the show that brought us together.
Yeah, neither of us
put it on our list, which is Heroes.
It's because it took a really bad turn pretty quickly.
I mean, Heroes, the first 2 seasons was great. It had its wonderful moments, but it's what kind of brought us together. So that's my honorable mention: Heroes and Parenthood and rom-com sitcoms.
Cool.
Your honorable mentions?
My honorable mentions, I have 2. Both series that I haven't watched yet, and the only reason why I put them in honorable mentions is because one of them is Deadwood. I put it as an honorable mention. I originally had it in my list, but I put it as an honorable mention because it's an older series. It was canceled, I think, in 2003. And then recently, HBO greenlit a film to finish out the whole series. So I didn't want to put it in my list because I feel that they didn't revive the show. They didn't continue the show in any way. They made this film to finish out the storylines, make like kind of an epilogue. And I haven't watched any of it yet. My stepdad, Mike, used to watch the series when it was on, and he loved it. I caught it a couple times. It was pretty good, but I was young, so I wasn't really into it back then. And I've really been wanting to rewatch it, especially now that I'm into westerns more, like Sergio Leone films and things like that. So Deadwood's an honorable mention. And then the other, funny enough, I didn't even think about this. The other is another thing that my stepdad, Mike, recommended to me. It's Lock and Key. And the reason why I didn't put it in my top 10 list is because I want to read the comic first. It's based on a comic series. So I didn't want to put it in my list because I'm not going to watch it until I read the comic. So once I do that, maybe it will be something I watch. But who knows? Maybe I don't like the story. I don't like the comic. So I didn't want to put it in there. So it's just an honorable mention right now. That's Lock and Key. Those are my honorable mentions.
Great. So my number 1, drum roll please, is Friends. I'm sorry.
Friends.
It's timeless. Yes, some of the stuff is offensive to people. Offensive? I don't know why. Whatever. The jokes, they fall flat now. I don't get it. I know what it is, and I think it's hilarious. It's also one of those things that you can just turn on an episode and quote it no matter which episode.
I agree with them. Pivot!
Yeah, exactly. And I really just, being 31 and watching that show, you know why that's a big deal.
Actually, see, that's how much I know about Friends. I don't know. Okay.
All of them are like celebrating their 30th birthdays, and then they find out that Phoebe's actually 31.
You don't need to tell this story
anyway,
right now.
Sorry. I feel like I'm in a Friends sort of world sometimes, and at the same time, when things seem to go wrong,
like had babies,
like a pandemic. What? Oh, what now? Ross had a baby. Rachel had a baby.
Yeah, but all that happened later.
Ross had a baby in the first season.
He had a baby in the premiere, or the pilot, but but that's whatever.
Anyway, no, I just I feel like now, especially like kind of things are falling on everyone and kind of falling apart, and you just have to find the joy in life no matter what. And I think Friends will definitely do that for me for years to come.
Sure. I mean, I get why the show is so popular.
Another honorable mention, Will and Grace.
All right, anyway.
The old Will and Grace, not new Will and Grace.
So, my number 1.
Go ahead, Matt. Your number 1 is more important than mine.
Well, yes. especially because it's something that's on right now, and it's the perfect moment for me to tell everybody because you have a whole week. My number one is Better Call Saul. It's slower paced than Breaking Bad, but it's just right there with it. It's got some of the greatest writing on TV. Vince Gilligan is just on point. And this season is on right now and is literally in its last episode. Comes out next Monday. So if you've never watched Better Call Saul, but you've watched Breaking Bad, you have a whole week to catch up and get ready for that finale of this season. And I'm telling you, it's going to be bonkers. This last episode, without spoilers, was crazy. Something big is going to happen. And if you want to be right there in the conversation, if you want to be right there in the Breaking Bad conversation, because this is all culminating with Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul is a prequel series, get in on the action. Go watch the series. Get ready for Monday. Get in the action. It's going to be great. And on top of that, if you've never watched Breaking Bad, now is the perfect time to do it all in one sitting. You have this week. You have more than enough time. If you have nothing going on, watch Breaking Bad, watch Better Call Saul, and get ready for that finale because I think it's going to be a real big twist and a crazy moment. I hope I'm not talking up too much for myself too, but I think something big's going to happen in this finale, especially since they're saying Better Call Saul is going to go into its last season next year. And as we know, Breaking Bad had a huge revelation that happened before its last season. So I don't know. I think something big is going to happen. And if you're a Breaking Bad fan, you'd want to know. Trust me. So anyway, that's our top 10s.
Yeah. Top 10 TV shows. Definitely take a gander, and
yeah, we'll
post the lists.
Yeah, we'll post the lists.
So we actually use this website called Tract, and that
TRAKT.
Yeah, and that is where we
TV.
made. Yeah, that is where we made our list of like top TV shows and stuff to watch. So you can go and check that out. It also shows a lot of information about the shows, and you can kind of like gather all the shows that you've seen and like what episodes you've seen, and you can kind of
really
track the TV you watched, which is really kind of scary but cool at the same time.
One of the coolest things that I like about it too is when you start culminating all these shows that you want to watch or you've watched, it tells you what streaming services you can watch them on, or where you can find them, which is pretty useful. So yeah, it's a pretty cool site. We try to find a site to do these top 10 lists with. We used Letterboxd for the movies, which is phenomenal. And then we used GG for the game list last week. But yeah, they've all been pretty good. I think Letterboxd is still the king, especially it has the social networking side. But Tract is pretty good. Recommend. We will post our picks tonight once we're all finished with it.
Yeah.
So that was Couple Chat.
Yeah.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Jackie. And this is Nate. Here are
the
Hahns signing out.
Wow,
You've got to get on that. Bye.